Hello everybody, my name is Jared and today I'm going to be reviewing for you Cruella. Cruella is a movie that is supposed to be about the origins of Cruella de Vil from the movie 101 Dalmatians. When I first heard that this movie was going to be a thing, I was honestly very excited. I thought that it would be very interesting to see who this person was before she became who she was in the movie. Like, why does she like fur so much? Why does she like the coat so much? How did she get that awful mansion? How did it get so messed up? Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. So, flash forward to sometime later, movie comes out, I watch it. I honestly thought that it was really good. It was very entertaining. But there were a lot of things that confused me when I watched it, and I will get to all that later. So, what happens in the movie? The movie opens up with, I guess that the whole movie is technically a backstory-ish. We'll find out later. The movie opens up with a woman giving birth to a child who has black and white hair with black hair on one side and white hair on the other side. That's never explained, and I honestly don't know how that would be possible, but whatever. Estella is raised by her mother, who has a very pretty necklace. I don't know what kind of jewel it was called. I'm assuming it was a ruby. But yeah. Estella has a really bad habit of doing this really weird, cruel things not to people, which gives her the nickname Cruella from her mother. Although as of right now, her name is Estella. Throughout her life, the only friends that Estella even makes is Anita, I think it was, from 101 Dalmatians as a childhood friend, and a doggo named Buddy. Eventually, however, Estella's bad behavior gets so out of hand that he gets expelled from school. So, in order to provide for her daughter, her mother decides to move to London with them, and they take Buddy with them, of course. Along the way, they stop at a very, very fancy mansion in which, while Estella's mother is talking to somebody, I suppose, Estella and Buddy sneak in to figure out what's going on. And there they see a fashion show, and that is when Estella decides that this is what she wants to do in the future. She and Buddy end up getting chased by dogs, which just so happen to be Dalmatians. And now this mansion just so happens to be over a cliff, so when Estella gets chased outside with them, she still has Buddy with her, by the way. Buddy does not get killed in this movie, so that's okay. Okay? But, she gets chased outside. The dogs then run towards her mom, who's talking with someone by the edge of the cliff, and the dogs knock her off of the cliff, which means that Estella's mom has just died. Estella then runs all the way to London in guilt, thinking that she killed her mom, where she meets her two sidekicks from 101 Dalmatians, Horace and Jasper. And they have a dog named Wink, who is called that because he's got an eye patch over one of his eyes. Time goes on. They all grow up in this old abandoned warehouse thing, I suppose, where they live off of stealing people. They become very good pickpocketers, and Estella, of course, still wants to do fashion because fashion, I suppose. Eventually, she gets her chance when Jasper pulls a few strings and gets her into a fashion designing company, but she ends up working as a janitor instead. Eventually, after bad treatment and stuff like that with a very horrible boss, she eventually creates a fashion out of a dress that she absolutely ruined that turns out to be so good that the villain of this film, the Baroness, hires her right on site. So she goes over there, she's designing clothes for the Baroness. The Baroness isn't the best boss, she's pretty mean too, but it's fun because this is what Estella wants to do, at least until she noticed the Baroness just so happens to have her mother's necklace. Hyundai, and thinking that necklace belongs to her mom, which it does, to be honest. She, Horace, and Jasper plan a heist to get it back by crashing one of her fashion parties. Estella distracts everyone by wearing a red dress out of the black and white fashion show, except for her hair, and says to everyone that her name is Cruella. While she's distracting everybody, Horace and Jasper try to get the necklace back, but it ends up failing, although one of the Dalmatians does end up eating the necklace. However, it's here that Estella discovers that the Baroness was the one who killed her mother, as she had a dog whistle and ordered the Dalmatians to tackle Estella's mom off of the cliff in the first place, which means that Estella is completely innocent. Of course, this means that it's revenge time, and so she ends up becoming a full-on Cruella by being a spy as Estella while figuring out what to do and how to ruin the Baroness's reputation. So every time the Baroness has a fashion show or anything, Cruella will always crash it with with some sort of designing, with some sort of dress of her own. And I will admit, the dresses themselves and the fashion were pretty cool, but I honestly didn't think that anyone would wear them outside of a fashion thing. Time goes on, as it does, Cruella ends up becoming more and more cruel to Horace and Jasper. She starts seeing them as just, henchmen rather than friends, and that starts to annoy them. They start to feel like she's neglecting them or something. Eventually, the Baroness figures out who Cruella and Estella, she figures out that they are the same, and she travels on over to their warehouse where she captures Horace and Jasper, decides that she will frame them for Cruella's death, which she attempts by setting the whole place afire instead of just shooting her, I suppose. But it is a Disney movie, so of course she's going to survive. Cruella gets rescued by the Baroness's butler, I suppose, who reveals that the Baroness, big twist coming up, is actually Cruella's actual biological mother. In a little backstory, we see that the Baroness accidentally got pregnant with Cruella, and she didn't want to have a child, so she decided to, I guess, kill the baby after it came out. The butler did not think this was a good idea, so she gave the baby to Estella's adoptive mother, and that basically inspired the events of the whole movie. So now Cruella decides to get revenge. She then busts Horace and Jasper out of jail, apologizes for her behavior, I suppose, and they plan another move to get ultimate revenge on the Baroness. After, long story short, they manage to make the Baroness pushes Estella off of a cliff while everybody is watching. Of course, because this is a Disney movie, again, she survives with the power of plot armor because she had a parachute under her dress the whole time. I'm not sure if it was tested or not, but yeah. So yeah, the movie ends with Estella now living as a full-time Cruella, getting the mansion and all the Baroness's properties and stuff. She also adopts the Baroness's Dalmatians, and then, in a little note, she sends the Dalmatians puppies, her Dalmatians, that being Pongo and Perdita, to Roger and Anita. And the film ends with you feeling rather disturbed and wondering if in the original 101 Dalmatians, Pongo and Perdita were already related and their entire marriage was an incest one. So what did I like about the movie? Like I said, I thought that it was very entertaining. It didn't have me bored throughout the entire thing. I thought that the acting was really good, especially Emma Stone as Cruella, who stole the show in every scene that she was in. Horace and Jasper were pretty good too. In this one, they weren't just henchmen. They were actually friends, and it was very interesting to see what their perspective was in the storyline. The fashion parts with all the dresses and clothes were actually very well done, and I thought that they were all very well designed, especially the little moth dress that Estella made. It's pretty gross when you find out that it's literally just a bunch of moth eggs, but yeah, it looked like something that you would see at a fancy party, I suppose. The Baroness as a villain, I thought was good. I couldn't help but feel like she was that one villain from The Devil Wears Prada, which is a pretty good movie. But yeah, she was good too. The dogs, Bunny and Wink, were, just doggos. They were doggos. What's not to like about doggos? Doggos, especially the Dalmatians. The soundtrack might have actually been my favorite part of this movie. I don't know how much budget went into the soundtrack, but yeah, the soundtrack was absolutely amazing. The songs that they chose were pretty good for whatever scene was going on at the time. The twist with who Cruella's mom really was, what I did not see coming at all. My dad sort of did. He honestly thought that the Baroness might have been Cruella's grandmother, so I guess he was half right on that, I suppose. The sets were also absolutely amazing. They were, pretty good and appropriate for the story, I guess. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the good things for the movie. And as for the bad parts about the movie, I'd say that, it's a movie about a woman who kills dogs. But one thing that I didn't like about the movie was that it wasn't really the Cruella from 101 Dalmatians. It ended up leaving you on a note that maybe this was an alternate universe or something. Because, the mansion she gets, Hell Hall, is the one she gets from the movie, but in the original 101 Dalmatians, it's, all damp and dark and really ripped up. In this one, it's super duper fancy and all. In the movie, Cruella gets all of her coats from furs, but in this movie, there is no killing any animals at all. Every single coat is, just regular clothesline. She makes a joke about putting the Baroness's Dalmatians into a fur coat, but that never happens. There's no killing of the dogs in here, and it just came off to me like I was wondering why they didn't do that. Why did they go with an alternate universe anti-hero Cruella instead of the one that I wanted to see? I still enjoyed the Cruella we got from this one, but I was just really confused as to why we didn't get the one from the movie, because that's the one that you would expect. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this movie. I thought it was very entertaining. Soundtrack is amazing. The acting is amazing. Sets are amazing. The story I thought was very entertaining. Oh, wait a second, I'm not done yet. Yes, another criticism that I had about the film was, again, with Cruella, and that being that her transition from Estella to Cruella was way too fast in my opinion. Like, one day she's Estella, and then for the rest of the movie, she's this awful, mean fashion designer named Cruella. And that didn't sit right with me. Like, I guess it's understandable that you would, like, want to get revenge on the person who killed your mother, but I thought that the transition from this person becoming one person the entire next day was way too fast. I think it would have been better if they had taken her transformation into Cruella slowly. That probably would have gotten us the Cruella you would have seen from 101 Dalmatians. Like, she's trying to be Estella, but as she's getting more and more revenge on the Baroness, she's slowly turning into this crazy witch woman who then decides that the best type of fashion would be, you know, killing animal skins. That, I think, would have been awesome. Awesome. Like, the film could have ended the same way, but at least we would have gotten, like, somewhat a Cruella from that story. But then again, they are already working on a sequel, so I guess we'll see if this is the Cruella or not from 101 Dalmatians. And that is all I have to say about this movie. Soundtrack is good, acting is good, sets are good, story is pretty good. The only problem I had with the movie is that it's not necessarily the Cruella that I think you would have seen in 101 Dalmatians. But yeah, I thought it was a very good movie. I enjoyed it very much. And with that being said, I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not leave a like, maybe subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.